People don't panic when they lose you. They panic when they realize you've stopped caring. That's the truth most won't tell you. Not your friends, not your ex, not the world. The real panic doesn't begin when you walk away. It begins when they feel that you don't even care enough to look back. And the reaction? It's not what you think. It's not calm. It's not cool. It's a storm masked behind silence. So stay with me, because once you understand what really happens in that moment, when your interest disappears like it never existed, you'll never chase again, ever. Hey folks, imagine this. You're the sun. You've been rising for them every single day, warm, consistent, always there. They never questioned it. They got used to it. And one day, you stop rising. No announcement, no drama, just darkness. That's what it feels like when your emotional presence disappears from their life. They never noticed your light until it was gone. And now, they're sitting in the cold, wondering what they did to lose the warmth they once took for granted. You see, my friends, most people don't notice your presence until your silence starts screaming. And when you stop being available, when you stop checking in, when your energy shifts from pursuit to peace, their world tilts. Because let's be real, some people only liked you when you needed them. Your interest was their ego's favorite toy. But you've grown, you've woken up, and now you're no longer interested in proving your worth to someone who couldn't even see it when it was in front of their face. Here's the lie they sold you, that if you pull back, you'll be forgotten. That if you stop chasing, they'll stop caring. That if you detach, it means you've lost. But the truth? The truth is brutal. It's only when you step away that they start noticing what you actually meant. Why? Because humans are wired to crave what's uncertain, and nothing is more magnetic than someone who is no longer emotionally accessible. They may have thought they had you on a leash, predictable, available, devoted. But now that you're no longer feeding their ego, oh, they're rattled. You'll start seeing the signs, random messages, likes on old pictures, subtle mentions, all sugar-coated attempts to check if they still matter, because the moment they realize you don't want them anymore, their mind becomes a maze of why. Why did he stop caring? Why is he so calm? Did I lose him for good? But don't get it twisted. This isn't about hurting them. This is about healing you. When you stop being interested in people who never met you halfway, you stop betraying yourself. That's not detachment, it's self-respect. And I get it, folks. It's not easy. Detachment isn't a switch. It's a slow, silent revolution inside your soul. It's when you finally understand that your love was never the problem. It was the audience. You gave a symphony to people who couldn't even hum the tune. But now you play your music for yourself. You move differently. You walk with peace, not pressure. You don't beg, you become. So laugh a little, smile at the silence. Enjoy the awkward energy when they don't know what happened to the old version of you, the one who used to care too much. Because that version, he evolved. And now he doesn't chase. He attracts. He doesn't react. He observes. And the best part, he knows his worth. And once a man knows his worth, no one can price him cheap again. Remember this, your peace is your power. Let them wonder. Let them spiral. Let them regret. You stay grounded, stay present, stay free. Write this in the comments right now. I choose my peace. And if you felt that, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because we're just getting started. Number 1. The shock of disappearing certainty. People don't break when they're ignored. They break when they realize they're no longer in control of your attention. There's a kind of silence that doesn't just echo, it haunts. And when they realize you're no longer interested, truly uninterested, not pretending, not playing cold to bait a reaction, but emotionally disconnected, It's not just a shift in energy, it's a full-on collapse of the emotional script they thought they were writing for both of you. They go still, not because they're calm, but because their internal world just flipped, and they don't know how to process the fallout. Imagine this, folks. You're a river that used to flood them with validation, energy, and emotional warmth. They drank from it when they pleased. They swam in it when it suited them. They took from you without ever thinking the current could stop. But one day the river runs dry. No warning, no rain, just dust. That moment, that dry silence, that's the shock. And they feel it in their bones, because they never prepared for you to stop flowing. See, most people walk through life assuming that consistency equals permanence. If you showed up with your heart every day, they thought it was just who you were. They never questioned it, and that's where the lie begins. Because the truth is, no one is permanent when they're being taken for granted. Even the most loyal soul has a breaking point. Even the most forgiving man has a limit. And once that limit is crossed, not with a scream, not with a fight, but with stillness, it terrifies them. What changed? Was I wrong about them? Why aren't they reacting the way they used to? Those are the questions that begin to flood their mind like a leaking roof during a storm. And that storm isn't because you left, it's because you stopped caring. They were so used to your pursuit, your emotional presence, your availability. It gave them a sense of importance. It told them they were still in control. But now they're not even sure where they stand. That's the pain, that's the shock, the not knowing, the not being able to predict your next move, because your silence no longer asks for answers, it creates questions, big, scary ones. And let's be honest here, why do they react like this? Why does your disinterest hit harder than anything you could have said to their face? Because certainty is comfort. Certainty makes them feel safe. And when they felt your interest, even if they mistreated it, it gave them that illusion of safety. You were the constant, the fixed star in their sky. But when that star dims, the entire galaxy starts spinning. The map they used to navigate your emotions, it's outdated now. Your silence rewrote the coordinates, and they're lost. But here's what's wild, my friends. This part right here, this is where the power shifts. They don't say it out loud, but in their mind, that first wave of confusion is quickly followed by fear. And not fear of losing you as a person, fear of losing the version of themselves that felt powerful around you. That's what really starts to break apart. Because your disinterest is no longer just a decision, it's a mirror. And when people who once took you for granted see themselves in that mirror, they're forced to confront the ugliest truth of all. They underestimated you. They thought you were safe, predictable, emotionally available no matter what. But now you're none of those things. You're quiet, you're focused, you're distant. And that distance, it becomes the gravity they can't escape. They start to overthink. They check your online status. They stalk your social media. They replay conversations, looking for the moment your interest faded. And every memory becomes a reminder that you no longer orbit their world. You see, the hardest thing for people to accept isn't your anger. It's your indifference, because anger still means you care. Indifference means you've detached. And detachment? That's spiritual warfare for someone who used to rely on your emotional energy to feel validated. So let me say this for the ones who still think silence is weak. It's not. It's one of the most powerful moves you can make. Silence isn't emptiness, it's exposure. It strips away the illusion of control. And when someone is used to manipulating your emotions, your silence is a language they don't speak. It terrifies them, because now they're not sure who you are anymore. And that uncertainty, that's where your value skyrockets. But don't be surprised if you feel guilty at first. Detachment doesn't come without internal conflict. You might question yourself. You might wonder if you're being cold, if you should explain, if you should give them clarity. But remember this: your peace is not a negotiation. Your growth is not a guilt trip. You're not responsible for fixing the confusion caused by someone who ignored your clarity when you were trying to offer it. It's going to be hard, I know, especially if you've always been the one who tries to fix, to explain, to heal. But now is not that time. Now is the time to protect your peace and observe their reaction. Let them feel what it's like to not have instant access to your emotional presence. Let them sit in the space they created with their carelessness. Because in that silence, they'll either rise with respect or disappear into the background where they truly belonged. Your value isn't measured by how hard you try to be understood. It's measured by how well you understand yourself and how willing you are to walk away from people who confuse love with convenience. This is the season of your becoming. And part of becoming means outgrowing people who were only interested in you when you were interested in them. Don't let the shock of their reaction shake your resolve. It's okay if they're confused. It's okay if they spiral. Let them. You don't owe an explanation for evolving. Write this in the comments right now to anchor yourself. I am done chasing clarity. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world around you that you're not here to be second-guessed, overanalyzed, or emotionally manipulated anymore. You're here to heal, to elevate, to lead your own energy. And trust me, what comes next in their reaction? Oh, it gets even more interesting. Stay with me. Number 2, validation panic mode. The moment they feel your energy shift, their ego starts to itch, because attention was never love to them, it was power. It's strange, isn't it? How quiet they were when you poured your heart into every moment, every message, every gesture. But now that you've pulled back, now that you're no longer showing up with that same warmth, they suddenly become hyper-aware. They might not say it out loud, but internally, alarms are blaring. Because when someone who was once so emotionally available suddenly goes silent, it doesn't feel like peace to them. It feels like rejection. And not just of them, but of the image they held of themselves in your eyes. That's when the validation panic sets in. They feel it creeping in slowly, like walking into a room where a fire used to burn, and now it's just cold. They open the chat you used to light up, and it's empty. No good morning text, no check-ins, no energy, just stillness. And that stillness? That's unfamiliar territory, because for so long, your interest was their mirror. Your attention told them they mattered. Your consistent care fed a part of them they never had to work for. Now, they're starving, and they're confused about why. They start throwing out little emotional hooks to test the waters. A random, "Hey stranger," or a "Just heard your favorite song." At surface level, it looks harmless. But underneath, it's a fishing expedition. They're testing your emotional temperature, trying to see if your heart still beats for them. But here's what most folks don't realize. It's not always about love. Sometimes it's just about ego. They want to know they still have it. That even after the silence, they still pull weight in your world. And if they don't get the reaction they expected, if your response is neutral, brief, or absent altogether, that's when the panic sharpens. It shifts from curiosity to insecurity. They begin to overcompensate. Maybe they start liking your stories again, or posting photos designed to provoke a reaction. Not because they're healed, but because they're unsettled. Because your detachment challenges the story they told themselves about their importance in your life. And it's at this point, my friends, that most people fall for the trap. They see those breadcrumbs and assume it means they've changed, that they care now, that it's safe to return. But listen closely. Not every message is an invitation back. Some messages are just fear in disguise. Fear that they lost control. Fear that you've finally seen them without the illusion. Fear that you no longer find them special. When you don't feed that fear, when you don't rush in to soothe it, you start to reclaim your power. Because let's be honest, they didn't panic when you were overgiving. They panicked when you stopped. And that speaks volumes. Why is this phase so difficult for you? Because the part of you that still wants to believe in their better nature will interpret these signals as sincerity. You'll want to respond. You'll want to believe it's finally real, that now they see your value. But the Stoic man doesn't react from hunger. He waits. He observes. He watches the pattern, not the promise. And this pattern is familiar. Love bombing after distance, subtle guilt tripping, sudden nostalgia. It's not about connection, it's about confirmation. They want confirmation that they still matter, that they're still in control, that they haven't lost your attention completely. And when you give it to them too soon, the chase ends, and so does their effort. The cycle restarts, and you end up exactly where you started, underappreciated and overextended. But not this time. This time, you hold your line. This time, you let them sit with the tension they created. This time, you remember that your validation isn't a prize to be handed out just because they miss the way you made them feel. You are not here to make people comfortable in your absence when they never appreciated your presence. Let them feel the silence. Let them reach out. Let them guess what you're thinking. That confusion, that unease, that's the price of their previous indifference. Let them pay it in full. They will try to make it look casual. They'll pretend their messages aren't calculated, but energy never lies. Their fingers might type, "Hey," but their energy screams, "Why aren't you chasing me anymore?" This is the game ego plays when it's hungry, but your job isn't to feed it. Your job is to protect your energy like it's sacred, because it is. And if you ever feel tempted to respond emotionally, pause and ask yourself, are they reaching out to reconnect, or just to be reassured they haven't lost their grip? Because once you know the difference, you'll never get caught in the same trap twice. So to every man out there who's learning to stand firm in his power, to hold his silence even when his heart wants to speak, write this in the comments and claim it. I owe no one my peace. Show yourself. Show them. Show the world around you that you are no longer here to play the emotional ATM for someone who only comes around when their ego needs a refill. Because what's coming next? It's even deeper. It's not just panic, it's reflection. And in that reflection, they won't just question you, they'll start to question themselves. And that's when the real shift begins. Stay with me. Number 3. Their curious mind becomes a prison. Curiosity doesn't just kill the cat, it tortures the one who once held power over your peace. There comes a point where silence doesn't just confuse them, it consumes them. It's no longer about what you said or didn't say, it's about why you're not saying anything at all. That question becomes a thorn in their mind they can't remove. Because now, your silence isn't just quiet, it's loud with meaning, it screams mystery. And mystery, my friends, is a drug they can't quit once they've had a taste of control and suddenly lose it. At first, they might try to play it cool, pretend like they're unbothered. But silence has a strange way of echoing through the parts of the mind that were used to attention. It lingers, it bounces off the walls of ego. And suddenly, they're not just confused, they're obsessed with understanding what went wrong, what changed, why you're no longer reacting the way you used to. It's like someone handed them a puzzle where half the pieces are missing, and those missing pieces are driving them mad. They start going back, replaying past conversations, reanalyzing every message you ever sent, reading between lines that didn't even exist at the time. But now, every good morning text you used to send becomes evidence. Every compliment becomes a breadcrumb. Every small detail becomes a clue in a case they didn't even know was being built. Because your disinterest now feels like an unsolved mystery, and their ego demands a resolution. Folks, let me tell you something powerful. People don't miss you when you're gone. They miss you when they can't explain why you're not the same. And that's the prison their curiosity builds. A mental loop that replays everything you were, everything you did, everything you gave, over and over, until it burns, until it haunts. They'll start asking themselves those same 3 questions on a loop. Did I do something wrong? Did they meet someone else? Why aren't they trying anymore? But this time, those questions don't come from a place of love. They come from a place of loss of power. And there's a big difference. Because when you were invested, they never asked those questions. Why? Because they thought they had you figured out. You were predictable. You were present. You were consistent. That gave them comfort. It fed the illusion that no matter how they acted, you'd still be around. But now your behavior doesn't fit their expectations, and that cracks the mirror they used to see themselves in. And here's where it gets interesting. Their curiosity becomes contagious. It spreads into their conversations with friends. Suddenly, they're talking about you again, not because they want you back, but because they can't stop thinking about you. They'll ask for opinions. Do you think they're over me? Should I reach out? And every time your name comes up, their chest tightens just a little more, because deep down, they don't want to admit they don't know you anymore. That's the part they never saw coming. You stopped needing them to understand you. You stopped over-explaining. You stopped chasing. And when someone's only power over you was how much you cared, watching you detach becomes a psychological nightmare. They may try to distract themselves, new people, new places, new stories, but the mind has a funny way of circling back to unfinished business. And you, my friend, became unfinished business the moment you stopped making them the center of your emotional world. But let's pause here, because this is the part where you might start doubting yourself too. You'll feel that energy shift. You'll sense their curiosity from a distance, and part of you may want to feed it, just a little. Maybe like a story they can see. Maybe a quote that indirectly pokes their mind. But don't play chess with someone who only knew how to play checkers when you were showing your full hand. Protect your mystery. That's where your new value is born. Because every time they think about you now, it doesn't come with certainty. It comes with tension. Every memory triggers a question. Every question leads to reflection. And every reflection forces them to consider that maybe, just maybe, you were the one they misread. That maybe you were more than they gave you credit for. That maybe they lost something real. And you don't have to lift a finger. That's the beauty of it. Curiosity does all the heavy lifting. While you evolve, grow, thrive, they're stuck rewinding scenes from a movie that no longer plays. And the more they rewind, the more they realize they never fully understood the main character, you. You see, growth is confusing to people who once benefited from your old self. And curiosity is the consequence they face for not appreciating the clarity you offered when they had the chance. So let them wonder, let them dig, let them overthink. Their mind is doing the work now. You've done enough. The most powerful revenge is not anger. It's becoming so peaceful they can't figure out how to trigger you anymore. Write this in the comments right now. My silence is my strength. Let that be your shield. Let it speak for you. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world around you that you're no longer in the business of proving your worth to anyone who once made you question it. And stay with me, because what happens next, when ego starts fighting against reality, that's where things begin to break. Number 4, when ego collides with reality. The ego never breaks clean. It cracks slowly under the weight of being ignored by someone it thought would never leave. There's a moment, silent, almost invisible, when their ego finally catches up to what your absence really means. Not that you're busy, not that you're playing a little game, but that you're genuinely not interested anymore. That realization, it's not just uncomfortable, it's unbearable. Because for someone who built their sense of self around your attention, your detachment is like pulling the floor out from under them. And the fall isn't graceful. It's ugly, erratic, full of denial, and disguised as confidence. You have to understand something about ego, folks. Ego doesn't love you. It loves the feeling it gets from being loved by you. It loves being admired, being needed, being the reason someone else shows up, gives, and sacrifices. So when you were chasing, when you were constantly showing up, texting first, checking in, apologizing first, ego felt tall, powerful, important. But now that you're silent, unbothered, emotionally calm, their ego is having a meltdown behind a mask. They try to hold it together at first, pretend they're fine. Maybe they post more, talk louder, laugh bigger. Maybe they make sure you see them moving on. But underneath that performance is chaos, because their identity was never just about who they are. It was about who they were through your eyes. And your eyes aren't watching anymore. It's like taking a stage performer and removing the audience. Suddenly, all the theatrics lose meaning. That's what happens when your attention disappears. It robs their performance of purpose. And now, they're stuck rehearsing scenes that no one is clapping for anymore. They start trying to regain control in subtle, manipulative ways. Maybe they flirt with someone in your circle. Maybe they send a message meant to stir up jealousy. Or maybe they just act overly indifferent, like nothing ever mattered. But here's the truth behind that fake indifference. It's a cover for desperation. Ego won't admit it's hurting. Ego will try to flip the script. You were never that important anyway. I'm better off. I'm so over it. But if they were really over it, they wouldn't need to prove it to you. And here's where it gets tricky for you. You might feel tempted to break the silence, to defend yourself, to explain that you're not playing games, you're healing, you're moving forward. But that's the trap. That's the moment they're fishing for. Because ego can't stand the idea that you made the decision first, that you're the one with emotional control now. They need a response, any response, to feel like they still matter. Even if it's anger, even if it's pain. To the ego, a negative reaction is still validation. But you're not here to feed their fire anymore. You're here to protect your peace. You've evolved past the need to explain your silence to people who made noise when they should have made effort. You're no longer the version of yourself who craved validation from someone who only loved the attention, not the man behind it. Let them spiral. Let the ego self-destruct under the pressure of your detachment. Because that collision, that crash between who they thought they were and what your silence reveals, is the exact moment they start to wake up. Slowly, painfully, but surely, your absence becomes a mirror, and what they see staring back isn't flattering. It's raw, unfiltered. It's the version of them that never thought you'd actually walk away. And the most humbling part, realizing that your energy was the only thing holding up the connection. Not their effort, not their love, not their presence. Your energy, your consistency, your emotional investment. And now that it's gone, everything starts to collapse. You'll notice the shift. The tone of their messages will change. Their social media will look like a highlight reel trying too hard. Their silence will turn into noise, subtle jabs, indirect posts, emotional traps. But don't fall into it. This is ego fighting extinction. This is the false version of themselves begging to survive. But your growth doesn't live in the same house as your past patterns. Stay grounded. Let your peace speak louder than any response ever could, because nothing makes the ego more nervous than someone who doesn't need to prove a thing anymore. And yes, it'll feel hard, especially if you still have feelings buried under the silence. You'll want to reach out. You'll want to fix the awkwardness. But healing is not about making them comfortable, it's about finally becoming honest with yourself. So let the ego scream, let it project, let it pretend it's fine. You're not here to rescue their pride, you're here to reclaim your soul. You're here to honor the version of you that used to cry in silence while they acted unbothered. That version of you deserves this peace. Don't rob it just because their ego is uncomfortable now. Write this in the comments right now. I owe ego nothing. That's your shield. That's your clarity. That's your freedom. Show them, show yourself, show the world around you that you're no longer here to play therapist to someone who ignored your heart but now wants to play victim to your growth. And stay with me, because when they feel the void, that's when things really start to break. Number 5. When they feel the void. People don't fear being replaced. They fear being forgotten by someone they thought would never stop caring. There's a difference between missing someone and feeling their absence. One tugs at the heart, the other, it gnaws at the soul. When they realize you're no longer interested, not as a strategy, not as a bluff, but because you've genuinely withdrawn, something deeper starts to sink in. At first, they convince themselves it's nothing. He's just busy. He'll come around. He always does. But time passes. The silence stretches, and suddenly it's not just quiet, it's heavy. You've stopped calling, you've stopped reaching out, you're not where you used to be, and without warning, a void forms. Not a dramatic, fiery exit, no slamming doors, just space, empty, cold, unfamiliar. And in that space, something clicks for them. You were never just an option, you were the constant, the calm, the presence, the voice that made them feel seen, even on their worst days. And now, that voice is gone. Folks, imagine walking into a room where someone always used to be. Their chair, their scent, the sound of their laugh, all of it gone, not replaced, not filled, just missing. That's what they start to feel, but this time, it's not a physical absence, it's emotional. And emotional voids are the hardest to escape, because no one else fits the shape you once filled. They'll try to distract themselves, scroll through new conversations, dive into work, post like they're glowing, but no amount of noise can drown out what your silence has created, because the void you left behind wasn't just about affection, it was structure, it was certainty, it was presence. And now that it's gone, they realize how much it anchored them. You see, when people are used to your emotional availability, they build routines around it. They don't even notice. Your check-ins were their emotional calendar. Your concern was their mirror. Your stability was their safety net. But they didn't say thank you. They didn't hold it with care. They mistook it as something permanent. And now, the loss isn't just personal, it's existential. This is where regret starts whispering, not loudly, not all at once, but in quiet moments, when they're lying awake, when a song reminds them of you, when something goes wrong and they instinctively reach for their phone, only to remember you're not there anymore. And here's the wild part, they thought the breakup would be the end. But it's not the goodbye that gets them, it's the absence that follows. The void isn't just the silence between texts. It's the realization that they don't have access to you anymore. They can't just reach out and expect you to drop everything. They can't rely on your warmth like a nightlight anymore. You've unplugged it, and they're left in the dark with nothing but their own choices to keep them company. But don't be fooled by what you see on the surface. They might still post, still smile, still party. But behind that curated life is a sinking feeling they can't name out loud. I lost something real. And this, my friends, is where the power shifts for good. Because now, you're not doing anything. You're not chasing. You're not proving. You're not trying to be missed. You're simply gone. And that stillness, it's louder than anything you could have said. You might wonder, why didn't they feel this when you were crying, explaining, begging to be heard? Why now? Why does it take your absence to make them realize your worth? Because people don't value water until the well runs dry. They don't appreciate consistency until chaos arrives. And when your energy disappears, everything else starts to feel unstable. But let me be clear, this is not about revenge. This is about revelation. You never needed to scream your worth. You only needed to remove it. The void did the talking for you. And now, every thought they have about you echoes back with a lesson. I took something irreplaceable for granted. You don't have to prove anything now. Your peace is the proof. Your silence is the mirror. Your calm is the confirmation that they no longer have power over your emotions. That's what hits hardest. Not your anger, not your words, but your indifference. They're going to feel it. Some sooner, some later. But they all do. Because no matter how much someone tries to fill the space you once occupied, there's a unique kind of absence that only you can leave behind. And when it settles in, it doesn't just make them miss you, it makes them reevaluate themselves. So don't rush to respond when they circle back. Don't explain your silence. Let the void do what it was designed to do. Make them feel everything they ignored when you were still giving freely. Write this in the comments right now. My absence speaks volumes. That's your truth. That's your posture. That's your power. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world around you that you don't have to raise your voice to be heard. You only have to remove it. And stay with me, because next, we're going to talk about why silence doesn't weaken your position, it multiplies your value. Number 6. Why silence amplifies your value. When you stop speaking, they finally start listening, because silence is the sound of no longer needing to be understood. Most people think silence is passive, that it's weak, that it means you've given up or walked away without a fight. But that's not true, not for the emotionally disciplined. For you, silence isn't a retreat, it's a recalibration of power. It's the moment you stop pouring into empty hands and start pouring back into yourself. And when you do that, when your voice, your validation, your energy all go still, it changes the entire emotional landscape. Suddenly, they don't know how to read you. And that confusion, it elevates you. Because now you're unpredictable, and people don't fear being blocked, they fear being unreadable. They fear losing access to your emotions, to your reactions, to your loyalty. Silence becomes your sharpest edge. It doesn't beg, it doesn't chase, it just exists. And in that existence, it becomes louder than anything you could have ever said. Imagine, folks, you were once background music to their life, always playing, always present, always easy to ignore, until the track cuts off. Now it's quiet. Too quiet. They didn't realize how much your energy filled the room until it vanished. That's what your silence does. It creates contrast. And contrast forces them to reflect, to reevaluate, to remember. And here's the part they never see coming. Silence magnifies everything they used to take for granted. The way you used to show up without being asked. The way you listened, understood, forgave. The way you made space for their chaos without letting it unseat your peace. They didn't notice it when it was consistent. But now every bit of that becomes amplified in your absence. Because there's no more noise to drown it out, no more access, just space and silence. They start replaying old interactions like reruns on a broken screen. Words you said that they brushed off suddenly echo with meaning. Moments they dismissed now feel significant. It's not nostalgia, it's realization. The silence didn't erase your value, it highlighted it. It carved your worth into their memory, not because you reminded them, but because you stopped trying to. That's the truth people forget. Silence isn't about ignoring someone, it's about liberating yourself. It's the decision to no longer explain your heart to someone who mistook your love for convenience. It's choosing stillness over struggle, peace over proving, growth over guessing. And it's powerful because most people expect you to fall apart without them. They expect you to panic, to text, to double back, to break your silence and beg for clarity. And when you don't, when you remain composed, steady, unaffected, that's when the shift happens. Your silence becomes a mirror, and what they see staring back at them is their own emptiness. Let me break this down for you. When you go quiet, you remove the safety net. You take away the emotional backup they never earned, but always expected. And now that it's gone, they feel the full impact of their own neglect. No more late-night reassurances, no more over-explaining, no more trying to make them see what they refused to value when it was right in front of them. And you might ask yourself, why is it so hard to stay silent? Why do I want to break it? Because silence forces you to face your feelings. It demands self-trust. It demands emotional control. But more than that, it demands faith in your worth, even when no one is clapping for it. Silence is the language of high value. The ones who scream and beg are still chasing validation, but the ones who can walk away quietly, they understand that absence can say what presence never could. They'll feel it, not all at once, but in layers, in late-night moments when their mind wanders back to you, in those quiet spaces between distractions, in those what-if thoughts they can't shake. And in those moments, your silence will be deafening. And what makes it so effective? It gives them space to finally think, to feel, to realize. You're not forcing a conversation. You're not trying to win an argument. You're just gone, and that absence becomes their burden, not yours. But hear me, friends, silence is not about revenge. It's about refinement. It's about stepping into your highest self, the version of you that doesn't need closure to heal, the version that doesn't demand attention to know his worth, the version that can sit in stillness and feel powerful because he's no longer trying to prove a damn thing. That's who you are now. A man of depth, of presence, of composure. You're no longer dancing for a spotlight in someone else's theater. You are the show, and your silence? It's the standing ovation they never expected. Write this in the comments right now. Silence raised my value. Say it, mean it, live it. Show them, show yourself. Show the world around you that real power doesn't speak, it resonates. And stay with me, because the emotional tension that's building in their world right now, it's about to boil over. Number 7, the emotional tension builds. When someone can't read you anymore, they don't get curious, they get restless, and restlessness is the birthplace of regret. They didn't expect this part. They thought your silence would fade, that it was just a temporary mood swing, that you'd come back like you always did, texting, "Hope you're okay" at 2 a.m. or checking in after seeing a story. But this time, nothing came. No call, no message, no emotional signal. Just space, just you, staying quiet, and them spiraling. Because the silence isn't just a lack of words anymore, it's an emotional tension that keeps building with every passing day. This isn't just about missing you. It's about the uncertainty that your absence has created. They don't know what you're thinking. They don't know where you stand. And the part that really eats at them, they don't know if you even care anymore. That's where it starts to crack them open. Because when someone gets used to pulling on your emotions like puppet strings, and then those strings are gone, they don't dance, they panic. And the panic doesn't always look obvious. It's subtle, it's restless scrolling, it's looking at old messages, it's watching your stories without reacting, it's asking mutual friends how you're doing, pretending they're just curious. But they're not curious, they're unraveling. Because that emotional power they used to hold over you, it's gone. And your silence has made it very clear. you've changed. Imagine, folks, trying to tune into a radio station you used to hear loud and clear, and now it's static, no music, no voice, just noise. That's what they hear now when they think about you. Just echoes of who you used to be to them, and they can't tune in anymore, no matter how hard they try. You were once emotionally accessible. You gave them your attention, your thoughts, your care. That was their control. But now they're locked out, and the emotional tension builds in that locked space. It grows heavier every day they don't hear from you. Every moment they expect a reaction, and get nothing. Here's the thing they never realized. Attention is emotional currency. And you used to spend yours on them like it was unlimited. But now you've cut the supply, and they're broke, emotionally broke. Their ego is still trying to pretend it's unbothered, but the truth is bleeding through the cracks. They're wondering, did I really lose him? Has he moved on? Did he finally stop caring? And those questions come with emotional weight, guilt, regret, reflection. The very things they used to avoid now haunt them. They remember your kindness, your patience, your loyalty, all the things they never fully honored. And in your silence, those memories become sharp, uncomfortable, real. Because now it's not just about you leaving, it's about what they lost when you left. And the emotional tension, it starts showing up in their actions. Maybe they start posting more, showing off. Maybe they try to mimic peace while drowning in restlessness. But peace isn't something you can fake. It's not a caption. It's not a smile for a camera. It's felt. And your peace, the peace you earned through pain, silence, and restraint, is unshakable. That's what drives them mad. Because now they realize they don't know who you are anymore. The man they could emotionally predict, he's gone, replaced by someone composed, calm, unreadable, and that unreadability is what shifts the dynamic. That's what creates the tension, because you are no longer a predictable reaction. You are a mystery they can't solve. And human nature? It doesn't cope well with mystery, it craves clarity. But you've become silence with meaning, and that's louder than any words. You'll notice the tension is working when they start reaching out in weird ways. Maybe a random emoji, maybe a, hey, just checking in. Maybe something indirect, like liking an old post from months ago. But that's not connection. That's tension speaking. That's the emotional pressure trying to escape in the only way it can, by pulling on a thread they thought still connected you. But you know better now. You've felt what it means to give too much. You've learned that love isn't proven by how loud you yell, but by how calmly you walk away when your presence isn't valued. You've grown into a version of yourself that doesn't chase approval, that doesn't need to be chosen to feel worthy, that doesn't need noise to feel seen. This emotional tension they're trapped in, it's the same one you used to sit in, the same unanswered questions, the same confusion, the same loneliness. But now, the tables have turned, and you're not seeking peace anymore. You are peace. So let the tension build. Let it wrap around their chest like a weight they can't shake. Let it press on their mind every time they remember how you stayed until you didn't. Let them feel what you felt, not out of revenge, but out of reality, because this is what happens when people don't realize what they have until it's gone. And now, my friend, you've become the one who left quietly, gracefully, powerfully. That's the kind of departure they never recover from, because you didn't just exit, you left an imprint. So here's your final affirmation. My silence is unforgettable. Write it in the comments. Let it echo. Let it remind you and anyone watching who you've become. You don't need to raise your voice. You already changed the story without a single word. They're feeling it now. And that feeling, that emotional tension, it's going to keep them up at night. Thank you for riding with me through this. If this message hit home, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And until next time, stand tall, stay silent, and walk in your worth.